going, guys? Dan here again, and I'm joined with Rob, and today we're just going to talk some hobby, basically. So, we'll try and do these on a bi-weekly basis, and we'll just basically just sit and talk about current events, upcoming events, current hobby, and just everything old world, basically. So, yeah, so you got anything going on hobby-wise at the minute, Rob? What you've been working on?
Yeah, I made the great decision to start a new army.
Yes, you have, haven't you? Because we picked up tickets to the Warhammer World Doubles, and you're
Yes,
using that as
the
a...
doubles. I wanted to take something because it's Throne of Skulls. I wanted to take something more fun. And while we are at Warhammer World for the last GT we went to, I saw a guy who converted up the Hexbane Hunters, and he gave all of them like hoods. I was like, this looks really cool. So I thought it'd be really cool to do an Empire Witch Hunter themed army. So obviously, I'm just buying any Witch Hunter model, running that, and then I'm running like a load of militia, but I'm using the City Sigmar models because I really like the models, but I don't want to play Sigmar. So, and it's like a win-win because I get to play old world, but I get to use the nice shiny models. So I'm running them as militia, and then I'm going to like mix dogs in and stuff. The list I've got is okay. It's Throne of Skulls, so I'm running a big brick of like Free Company militia, which are terrible. But I put a demonology wizard in there.
Well, yeah, wizards always
Let's
spice
hope I
things up,
roll
don't
something
they?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I can give them fly 12 and like plus 1 AP, because we were chatting about that, they have throwing weapons. So if you can get plus 1 AP and plus 1 strength and plus 1 attacks, then suddenly they're still really mediocre, but they're just not utter garbage.
They go from
So,
here to here.
here. So, yeah. But no, yeah, that's the main project. Obviously, I've always got more on the dwarves. After discussion with a certain well known dwarf Aldor player, um, I've been persuaded to do the Yeet list, which it was more because I didn't know if I'd be able to sort of use it properly because it's one of those where I think a lot of people sort of run it going, oh, it's not very technical, but I think it is because it's called Yeet, yes, but if you just yeet yourself at everything, you're not going to do very well. So,
Yeah, it's knowing when
yeah,
to eat and not to eat, isn't it? It sounds
yeah.
like it
So
seems quite
I've
techy.
got all the stuff, so I'm just going to build a pack that eventually. Maybe run it at a GT, but then I've also got, or I could run the finish building the gyro list, which
Yeah,
you know,
because we all know how fun that list is.
I don't think I'm going to go 21 gyros though. I think I'll probably end up doing like maybe 18 with artillery. Only 18.
Yeah, I personally think I've seen like a few iterations of it. I think the ones with artillery are better than the ones without, just because you've got a bit
Well,
more oomph against bigger things.
yeah, and like it also gives you like it is it's the weaker list because you can't point Stanal as hard, but it gives your opponents a better game, and it also kind of, I guess, depending on how good your opponent is, if they just go right, well, I can't kill the gyros, I'm just going to go for the artillery. You can kind of predict where they're going to be, and the
Yeah,
artillery is surprisingly hard to catch because it can move. You put it in, and like a lot of time you put it on the edge of woods and stuff, and then you like, oh, I'm just going to move behind, or whatever, and you can just hide it. Or you just stick it right at the edge, and you can just move away and stuff.
yeah,
So
it gives you that extra versatility, doesn't it? So you're not just
yeah,
remain stationary for the whole game. And then, like you said, it makes a more interactive game, I think.
yeah, because otherwise it's just like cool. Like if you got magic missiles to shoot in, or Pegasus Knights,
Yeah,
then you can deal with it. But it's not even a case of it's like that oppressive. It's just basically like you just move around your stuff, and then helicopters fly around you and shoot you, and that's it.
yeah. One person
The
gets to
most time
move
I've
their
ever
army and play the game. The other person gets to roll saves.
move their army and do nothing and
That's
roll
it. Yeah.
saves. Yeah. So yeah, no, I will build it still though because so going on to the next topic. So yeah, I'm doing a vampire hunter army. See what it's like. I'm having to green stuff hoods though, so that's always fun. Thankfully, I've managed to steal some peasant heads from you and elsewhere, so I've managed to get a few hooded heads already. But I'm having to green stuff some of them. So
Yeah.
I started doing that today. I green stuff 4.
Plus, you got a bit of practice when you did your dwarf rangers, didn't you? Because didn't you green stuff there, hoods?
Yes,
So
yeah, I green stuff some of those. These are going to be better. What I've learned is to go less. I put way too much on the dwarves, whereas with these I'm putting like less, so they are actually looking a bit more like hoods than just like lumpy duvets.
lumpy duvet.
Well, that's what I look like. It's what I look like on the Rangers. So, yeah, no, yeah, but we recently went to an event, didn't we?
Yes. So we went to the Forgotten North GT2, 'cause I think the second one they did, hosted by
Mhm.
Scott Reed and the Newcastle lads. It was a real good event. Probably like we've been to a handful now between us, and I'd say it's probably one of the best ones we've ever been to.
Yeah.
Just gameplay wise, people wise, atmosphere, just you couldn't really fault it. They had their own FAQ, which I think was the spicier take. So, off the top of my head, I think the only main changes were. So the first one I don't think really come up, but they said like obviously you can't use assailments with the shield of the lady, because obviously I know that's been a topic of discussion. Have you seen like the Pegasus bus? Like if you've got
Oh,
6 Pegasus characters and then they charge like one model and then they have to conga line, don't they, because of the skirmish rule, and then
yeah.
the lady's been casting assailments while she's like 16 inches away from the unit. I know they FAQ'd it
Right.
based on a few problems with that, but it didn't come up in the event. But the main change was to Earthen Ramparts. So they counted the wording on Earthen Ramparts as you defended, count as defended in a low linear obstacle as there being an invisible physical low linear obstacle between the units. So the biggest change to that was dragons, no surprise. Because you're not counted as base to base, it meant no impact hits, stomps, and only 1 attack per model. So 1 attack for the dragon, 1 attack for the chaos. I say chaos lord. It's instinct that it's normally a chaos lord.
It's usually a chaos
1
lord.
for rider, 1 for dragon, no stomp. So it meant their max combat res was 3. If you actually
Pretty
got a rune
much.
through on both those stats.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, dragons become a lot less scary when their attacks go from like 15 or 16 to 2.
Well, even when they're just not stomping.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there was we had like at the event there was a big discussion about it because some people had really teched into this. So there was a guy running like the 80 brick star of goblins with poison, and that was absolutely smashing dragons because suddenly, like Tomb King's players and stuff were doing it as well, but suddenly, like the dragons that could run in and kill like 15, 20 goblins, they couldn't go near it because as soon as they charged, if they had that spell off, as soon as they got in combat, one, they were getting stunned and shot. Probably, to be honest, they were probably going to make up that combo res just from that.
Yeah.
And if they weren't going to make it up from that, in combat, their static combo res is like 6 or 7 or 8 in some mad cases.
Which means like
And then you're going to lose.
yeah, even
You know?
if their static combat res is like 6, like you say, which is okay for inventory. That's like the
You lose it
6
by
and
3.
Yeah, that's best case scenario as well. If you whiff your attacks, you're losing by 5.
Well, yeah, exactly. So as soon as you miss one or whatever, yeah. So
And
it was
also
really
units that
interesting.
size are outnumbering you as well, so it's basically give ground or break and flee.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I do think it's they need to find a slight middle ground because a lot of people are like, oh, this is how it's intended, which is fair enough. But obviously, you can see the strength of it. Because I mean, I'm not as a dwarf player, I'm not opposed because I can do it. And it actually would help me out a lot to and it makes infantry way stronger.
Yeah, because you can got
I
some
can
Burlock
entrench.
that can entrench. That's the one.
And it's the engineer sapper can entrench like each command phase. And entrenchment, it literally does basically all the same thing. You count as being defending a low linear obstacle and all that sort of thing.
Just
But
the pros
otherwise,
with
if
Earthen
you-
Ramparts, you get a ward, don't you? But that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
apart from that. But the problem is if you don't have it do what like it says on the tin, like what was running at the event, it basically does nothing. Because it's like, oh, you get the ward, but you charge, it's like, oh no, I'm still in base contact, so I still got my impact hits, I still got the only thing is you're like disrupted or disordered, I can't remember which one it is. I think you're disrupted if you're on a low linear obstacle. So it's kinda like
yeah,
great.
Those single dragons care about their rank bonus, right?
Yeah, great.
So
I don't
they
get
can
my rank
break.
bonus when I'm a single model, but instead I still get to make like my 15 billion attacks and smash you in combat. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are saying is there a middle ground where you don't get impacts and you don't get stomps. I'd be fine with that. Like I don't agree with the, but then because as we were discussing later is that the idea is that there's like a physical wall being put up. You know, like there's like
Yeah,
an
that's
entrenchment. You know, when they're entrenching, they're digging tunnels and holes and stuff. So, I don't know. I think it needs a bit more testing in the official FAQ from GW.
yeah. I think it
Um,
definitely. I mean, like it didn't cripple dragons because I mean, like what? Stephen came second, didn't he, with his Chaos Dragon list? So he still went 5-0
But
with
then-
the dragon list.
But did he go into it?
He
Because I don't think he did.
or maybe not.
So if he didn't fight it, then that's why he didn't get. You know, because then
True.
any of the dragons did like so. Look at John who then fought it, and I mean in his case, okay, like there was that slight play he had with the Griffin.
Oh yeah, he got crippled playing Sam, didn't he?
Yeah, but then that was a risky play still because if he'd rolled a give ground or if he rolled a 4-pack good order, he would have panicked and just ran off the board.
Yeah.
So even though it was one of those, like, oh, it wasn't really. I think it was still like it wasn't like a risky play because you had like a leadership 8 rerollable to give the ground, but still, it could have been bad. But it shows the difference between the spell because the thing is, dragons. You then have the opposite end of the stick where it's like, oh, it cripples dragons. True, but dragons at the moment absolutely smash whatever they touch. I mean, I had that in the event, so.
Yeah, I think they need crippling at the bit a bit. Well, not like
Yeah, they need a bit of
they
it.
need
They need a
toning
bit of
down.
fixing,
Like,
don't they?
so
Yeah.
we've discussed obviously like if the Earthen Ramparts ruling becomes official, I think it would be healthier for the format because you'd see hopefully less dragons, maybe. Like because I mean, what out of all the armies that can take wizards, it's only Chaos that can't take elementalism. Bretonnia can take it. High Elves can take it.
I think High Elves can take it. I'd have to double check.
I'm not sure about.
I know
Empire.
they can take
I know
High
they
and
can take
Battle.
Illusion.
Empire can take all of them,
Right, Orcs can take it because obviously the Orc Shamans can take it, but the Goblins can't.
and the Goblins.
Um,
The normal Goblins can.
well, I think they can take Illusion, but not Elementalism, and then the Orcs can take Elementalism,
No.
but not Illusion.
The Night Goblin could take Illusion. I think the normal Goblin could take.
Right, yeah. So, but Orcs and Goblins have access
Yeah.
to it. Chaos
Yeah.
don't. Tomb Kings do. Yeah, Tomb Kings do.
Yeah,
'Cause you can
Tomb Kings do.
TMP. Ironically, I think it's just Chaos that can't cast it. So it's pretty healthy in the edition.
Don't care, do they?
Yeah. So it's pretty out there. If that became official, it might become a bit more of a tactic. But then I don't know if, like we talked, didn't we? Saying at the minute you see like big bricks of inventory, especially if you've got access to poison blobs, usually Tomb Kings and Orcs and Goblins.
Orcs and Goblins. Yeah.
But I think maybe you'll see less of those if people start taking less dragons because Earthen Ramparts is a thing.
Yeah.
And like I say it's not completely broken because you can't cast it in combat or into combat. So the timing's there.
Yeah, I think it's a case of it does because at the moment it does nothing.
No, and
Like,
I think
if it
rules
goes
as
off a lot of
intended,
people-
it's meant to do what they did at the event.
Yeah. I think if people don't like it exactly that way, you can find a middle ground. I do think it should shut off stomps and impact hits.
Definitely.
I really do. And that would, for me, deal with 90% of damage from dragons. I don't actually mind the attacks from the top of the dragon. I don't mind the attacks from the dragon. The problem is the stomps. It always is the stomps. Because you can, you could be fighting and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, well, I only got, because most dragons, get 6 attacks?
Yeah.
Most time the dragon's hitting on 3s and can be winning on 2s. So you're looking on average, 3-4 wounds from a dragon on most things, unless they're, high web skill things on the other side. So you can actually usually tank that, but the problem is that the stomps, it's just D6 hits. They don't give a crap about your web skill. They don't care if you've got minuses to hit or anything like that. And then it's effectively, it's not the same, but it might as well just be D6 plus 1 wounds, or D6 wounds, pretty much, and -2. So I think if they did that, then it would be a bit more common. But then I think if it's that, because a lot of people are worried about, is the, big poison Death Star the big meta thing? But it's well, not really, because if you bring that, if that becomes massively popular, dragons will die down, and then they're not. It's still good because obviously it's such a massive brick. But I ran into it, and I ran Iron Breakers. I mean, I'll clarify this, guys. The list I took that weekend was shit.
You was playing traditional draws when you in an
Excuse my
unfair
language.
world.
It was bloody awful. Yeah, because there was some objective missions. I was I'll play into the objective, but I think that's still something where now. It's the same with the whole ground mission in the middle. I really think they need to, if they want to put objectives in the game, into the game, that's fine. But they need to really put a big swing on it.
Yeah, I know Scott's put up his review now of the event of what he thinks to it, and one of the comments I left about because he was asking for feedback is I think if the objectives were scoring per turn would have been better because I think I found on one of my games, I think I was on or near the objective for pretty much the first 3 or 4 turns, and then obviously once you just got swept through, then obviously everyone jumped on them last minute. I think you suffered that on Command and Control as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that
event,
wasn't at this event.
GT.
It was at a different event where my hammers held the middle objective for the entire game, and then the final turn, a Phoenix just ran over and went, I contested it. And it's just okay. But even then, in my game I played where there was the 3 objectives in the middle. This was mission 4. There was 3 objectives in the middle. Each was worth 200 points at the end of the game. If they were worth 50 points or even 20 points throughout the game, I think I'd rather have that because I sat on those objectives for literally the entire game. And then my opponent just was like, he could just run around me, shoot me, and it was like I held two of them at the end of the game, so I got 400 points. But and okay, a lot of people don't want Old World to just become a sit and hold objectives, and I get that. That's not what the game's been designed for. But it would make infantry way better if it's a case of right, I've got a big brick of infantry on this objective, come and get it.
Yeah.
And it would also it wouldn't even emphasize massive bricks. Because if somebody brings a huge brick of infantry of like 90 or 100 skeletons or whatever, they can hold that one objective, yes. But if there's two others. So if you're getting like 20 points a turn and I'm netting like an extra 20 on top of you with my two smaller bricks, then I think it would hopefully bring back the not tiny like not MSU, but it would bring back the like 20-man old school 20-man bricks. Now I'm not against that. I love a good 20-man brick of infantry of any kind. So
the iconic 5x4.
Yeah, like the 5x4, bring it back. It's the best. So having that would be great.
Yeah, like I say, I think if it was like 50 points a turn or something, that'd be respectable because at least then, like you sit on it the whole game, 300 points. So
well, that's more than that. Well, it depends. I mean, if it's one objective, yes,
if you get the one, like I think it technically could be more favoured to gun shooting armies because then, like say, they'll just sit and shoot. But then I think then if they're hypothetically, if they brought out a book and it had like new core missions in, and say 3 of them were killy, 3 of them were objective based. There's an even split, and you don't know if you're at an event or if you're playing casually what mission you're gonna roll up. And that's obviously predetermined that, and it's like, hey, game Tuesday, we'll play open battle. But say if they had like an even split of 3 objective missions, 3 killy missions, it'd change the list building dynamics. So those shooty armies that could just sit on the objectives and shoot, they still know for the first few turns at least they're going to sit on them and score and shoot the opponent. But if you can't completely get them off it, they're still just going to keep scoring off theirs. So you need that healthy balance of offense and defense, which some armies are going to do better than others. Like dwarves don't really have massive offense unless you're doing gyros or the yeet. Well, as in like you can't traverse
the unit 27 inches.
Yeah, you struggle to traverse across the board as quick as some other armies do. Like
I mean, because I considered going really crap on my list. I was considering running miners. Because I was like, I love the idea of them just like popping out of the ground behind my enemy. I was like, get the backfield objective and whatnot. But again, that's where I think if they do the objective missions, they have to remove the kill points. And if they do kill points, they don't have objectives. Because a lot of the people who just like won top tables, they didn't care about the mission. They just ignored it. They literally said that when they were building their list, they just built it like any other list. And then if they could score VPs off the objective, they could. So because the swing is still like it's a good, don't get me wrong, if you manage to score all 3 objectives in the middle, that's 600 points. That's nothing to sniff at. But if your opponent army is dead, then you win the game. It's that whole thing of like the best kind of like active effect to have on an enemy is dead.
Yeah.
So
I mention that as one of the feedback for the objectives, basically saying it basically just made the bigger wins bigger. So when you had that, like, not steamrolling, but like an overwhelming victory, instead of getting, say, 16-4, because you then got half a tabling and the objectives as well, it turned it into like an 18-2.
Yeah.
Just because then you pushed them off the board pretty much, so you've got a 16-4, but then because you also managed to, last turn I'll just jump on these 2 objectives, you turn it to an 18-2.
Yeah. So that's another thing. This was the first, because you've played like 1 or 2, this is the first event I've ever played in that had the 20-0 system. And I prefer it so much more than win-loss-draw. Because win-loss-draw is great, and don't get me wrong, like if I was playing like just like if we were playing a game at the weekend or whatever, like I'd be intrigued to see what the 20-0 score would be, but it'd be like, no, you won. Simple as that. Or like win-loss-draw or whatever. But we've played in GTs before, and as soon as you lose your first game, you're out of the running, pretty much, in a win-loss-draw event. Yeah. Whereas in a 20-0, you could get like 11-9, and you could still go on to win the entire event. Like it's not impossible. So I think that's why I really like it, because you can, because we were sort of constantly moving through the like rankings and stuff. It was like, we really lost the first game. Like I got absolutely smashed in my first game to a 19-1. To be fair, I will say this: it was to the guy who won the entire event.
Yeah.
By a considerable margin, and I will self-proclaim that I'm happy that I scored him that 1 point because his next 3 games were 20-0s. So I was like, yep, that's all right. The crap dwarf list kept him off that 1 extra point. And every time I saw him, I was like, yeah, but you're not a perfect skill. All right, you got that 1 point. But
I do think the 20
it,
nil system as well. It makes for a more tactical game because, like you said, usually say if like your opponent's playing shooting army, they have a good turn one and they kill one of units turn one, they could just like play that cagey game then and just win. But
mm,
and then because of that, you feel like you have to go on the full offense to try and reclaim your points back. Whereas
yeah,
if the unit you lose is like, okay, I've lost 160 points in the unit, you can be like, right, well, that's still like a 10-10 at the minute. It's not the end of the world. You can still just play casually, well, not casually. You can play
yeah,
relaxed, bring it little by little. But I've just seen Cooper just jump onto your bed,
yeah. I've gained a
just
cat.
chilling in the background. But yeah, like I think like we've had a few casual games in the past where we've realised, like, especially me playing Bretonians, it's just like I move up, kill something, and it's like, oh well, I could just fly backwards now, right?
Just fly away.
You
Yeah,
think in
yeah,
5 turns you can't catch me, I win. But then in a 20
yeah,
nil system, it's like I could do that, but I'm gonna win 11-9. What's the point?
yeah, yeah. Well, even then, you're mostly because it's only 100 point difference in a normal game.
Yeah,
I
whereas
mean,
it's
like we
200.
played a
Well,
game, didn't we,
199
where
for each
you
thing, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, we worked out that technically you could run in, kill a unit of Iron Drakes, and then just fly away. And that's it. And then as soon as you do that, as soon as you go behind your lines, even in the like rest of the five, yeah. Because if anything, unless my entire army over envelops you, which is not going to because you're Bretonians, then you can literally just hide and just, if anything does get too close, respond. You either charge it, kill it, and just win more, or just keep moving and hiding.
Yeah.
And okay, not every army can do that. Like a lot of armies can't, but it's still got the potential of just alpha striking, killing something, and then just running away. So yeah, I think the 20 I really like the 20 system, as a personal opinion. But
I think it's the better way to play. I think it just makes more
yes,
interactive
yeah.
games.
In tournament play, yeah. In normal games, whatever. Like you just
Well,
play
yeah.
normal win, loss, draw. But if you're playing in a tournament, I think 20 is the best way because you can just, you can also like, because when I was playing at the GT at Warhammer World, there was a point where I was like, oh, I need to preserve points, and my opponent just made the point of like, why? He was like, it doesn't make any difference for you. It's a case of like, yeah, okay, if you just give me points, I might go up in the rankings, but it doesn't. It's not like you lose harder. Like if you lose, you lost the game already. You know what I mean? So, whereas in that you go, okay, well I'm going to move this unit around here because if I save those points, then it's like it means I can go a bit higher up in the rankings. So
Well, yeah, like
yeah,
especially if you've got like
well,
a few units left, just hovering just above 25%. It's like, well, they're
yeah,
nothing at the minute. If they drop below or die because I get risky with them, it could push another bracket up or something.
yeah. That was another point. Obviously, going back to it, but that's another point. A lot of people say with the gyro list, it's got the same Pegasus thing where you can either you never bring a gyro squad above 5, above 4. So to get the points, you have to kill it, and as soon as it goes down to one model, you just send that thing away. You see those woods, go and hide in it, and never repair, because then opponent can't score anything.
Yeah, like I've only bumped into the gyro list once, and it was at the event. I played Aaron's. I think you played him in round 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Round 4,
round
the game
4.
before yours.
Oh, was it literally right before me? Yeah, and like so basically with that, I knew I couldn't catch him with any of the stuff, so I just gunned for both the characters, and then that
Yeah.
made it like I think it was fairly close. I think it was like a 13-7 or something.
Yeah,
But that was only because I got his general, who was the Gunthane, and then
yeah,
I
yeah.
got,
On
I
the
think,
shield
an
bearers.
engineer,
Yeah.
and I think I got 2 of the gyros. But then in
Yeah.
return, I lost like my Grail Knights and a unit of Knights that run below 25%. But then, like, I had to really like push around to get those, and then just play a cagey game not to lose anything.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a list I'm going to build. I don't know what it's like casually. Like I think if I was going to play it and somebody's like, "You want a game of Old World?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm going to bring my dwarves, and they were like, "Oh, what are you playing?" I'll bring in this list. They might either go, "Right, I'm not playing," or they'll go, "Okay, I like a challenge," because it's not. I don't want to call it broken, but I would say it's up there as one of the stronger armies. Like as a list goes,
Yeah.
because it's very hard to get. Because it's like even against like Bretonians, it goes very like yeah, okay, you've got the Horn, which is true, but if they're not playing Exiles, they're probably still gonna take the Lady's Blessing. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't-
didn't have the
I don't know.
Horn at the event, so I had to play that on
No.
hard mode. I think
Yeah.
in my next game I come up against it if I had the Horn. It depends what sort of list they're playing. If I could guarantee getting the +1 to go first, or if the mission had that, I'd probably sacrifice the ward save because
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I think just having that turn one, like, because what, Gyros are move 2?
Yeah, they become effectively move 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'd gamble it. Like, I don't know the maths in my head if it actually pays off, but I think, I mean,
It
if, yeah,
depends though. Does it? Because then, right, you've got to be aggro, right?
yeah, but I think the issue, I mean, I've only played against it once, so I'm no expert on the Gyros, but I think, like, even
Yeah.
with the Pegasus Knights, I struggled to keep up with some of them. That's why I just had
No,
to go
yeah,
for the
you struggle to
characters.
keep up,
So I
but I
think if
don't know whether
if
it's the case of.
I think not letting him have that first turn and getting the horn. I mean, you might sacrifice the ward save, go second, and fail the horn the first turn. Like shit could happen. But
No, yeah, it's whether it's a case of like because obviously they can vanguard, so they can sort of respond to the movement anyway. But also, well, I always get vanguard mixed up. I can't remember if you have to do it before or after the roll.
I think it's before, but it'd be before
It's
anybody gets a
before.
chance to blow the horn anyway. So you're guaranteed a move
Yeah,
with them.
yeah. But I just it's one of those where it's like so because I mean obviously you don't just yeet forward with the peg knights, but if it's a case of your opponents go second because you decide to not pray and you get the win the roll off, and you just yeet at them. Does it really change anything? Obviously, I'm not saying you just full set, but isn't that what affects it? Not necessarily you have to do, but if you just start flying around, yeah, okay, you could just slowly do it. But as soon as you come out, you're still going to get shot. I mean, they've still got a 28-inch threat range,
Yeah, I think it's the turns in between though, where I think
and
it's
because they have Vanguard, they're gonna be like, where the hell are those Pegasus Knights? I'm going near it
yeah, I suppose
because I
it's
think
a valid point.
I don't know.
I think if you
I
ever
don't
build
know. Like,
yours, we'll have to have a few games where I just don't bother praying and see what effect it has.
yeah, I mean, because I think it's a case of if you don't pray and then you don't get turn one, you're in for a very sad time because suddenly you've lost your ward save.
Well, against you lot, my ward save is what wins me games because I just
Oh,
can't roll
God,
over 5.
don't.
But I think at events, I can't roll blessing saves to save my life.
That'll
So,
be our agreement. I only ever play you when we go to events, and I'll be fine.
yeah. I mean, like speaking of examples of that as well, like I played Ollie today with the Orcs and Goblins,
Mhm.
and he did 9 wounds to my Duke on Hippogriff at AP2.
With strength 5 or strength 4,
It was
or strength
the
like were you getting the bigger ward or not?
so I get the big award. I think it was. Where did it come from? Might have been his war boss on Chariot.
Right.
Basically, he did 9 wounds to me on my Hippogriff. I was only on 4 wounds, so he did 9 wounds to me. Out of the 9 saves, I passed 6 of the 5 of Palmer, and then
Of course.
out of the 3 remaining, I passed a ward.
Oh,
So I took 2 wounds from a 5 up 5 up.
From 9.
Yeah, but any other person, if I didn't,
you'd
play
be dead.
Yeah,
You should have been dead.
and like I say, I only had 4 wounds left, and then obviously
Yeah, averages would say that.
he killed him, overran, and then hit his Wyvern Wizard.
And then did you kill the war boss, the Wyvern Wizard?
I didn't kill him, but he gave Grad off the board.
So you did kill him. You just didn't
I didn't
directly kill him.
Gravity kill him. He
Brilliant.
fell off the edge of the world.
Gravity, then, yeah.
But yeah, like
I
against,
think
against
that's
you,
right.
like,
I mean,
my ward saves are heinous. But in an
Yeah.
event, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to make him anyway.
I think so. That was another thing we were talking about at the event. Is we still like I'm still in the opinion. I think you are as well. Even though you use them, I think still Pegasus Knights, Peg Lords, the Pegasus in general needs some sort of change. They need fixing because I think as well like they are because yeah, okay, dragons and stuff are a problem, but at least you can avoid them. You just can't avoid Peg Knights. You basically can't.
Yeah, like I say, I noticed that today with the Hippogriff, like the small in betweens of facings are
Yeah.
like playing fair again is different. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I don't like that.
Like, I'm
If
so used to
Bretonian
just
players
going march up 20. You deal with it. If
Yeah.
he's still alive, I'll
Yeah,
charge
exactly.
something. But
Because if you can arcane urgency as well, you could just fly over their army, and then suddenly behind their lines, you go right. I can charge literally anything I want, and there's nothing you can do about it.
yeah, it feels lazy and unhealthy to have 360 vision chargers in a rank and flank game. I'd be, like I say, Bretonia's my main and favourite army, but I'd be fine with some sort of change. Whether it's, for me, like an overall changes to skirmishers would help, because I think like the gyro list is a bit heinous as well in terms of what the game of fantasy is meant to be. Like I think arcs and stuff are what makes fantasy. So I think bringing that back is important, just to say non-inventory skirmishers across the board, like solo characters that want to shoot things and cast spells 360, fair enough. But I think if you're bigger than unit strength 1, you should have arcs. But I think if they made a change specifically just to Peg Knights, just taking skirmish off them might be the way forward. Then you just run in a little lance triangle. You've still got high maneuverability, but you've got to play fair.
Yeah, I think that what they could go back to is effectively what old skirmishers could do, where it's like, because old Fastcap could do this. You could just reform as many times as you like during the move. So effectively, you could just kind of move as you do now, but you end with an arc. Because then, like, the gyro list would still, it would work exactly the same, but rather than just going, right, I'm just going to fly into the middle and I could just shoot like a, like some sort of gun turret, you still have to go, right, I'm going to face this way so I can still see those units. So you can at least, there's a bit of an arc.
The movement is loosey-goosey, but where you end is the important bit, because it's like, right,
yeah, that's what matters.
360'd across the board, but now I'm facing this way. That's what I've committed to.
Yeah.
So now it pushes the ball into your opponent's court to try and play those arcs.
Yeah. You're saying this with like the steam gun gyros. I always like face them towards where they're going to shoot, and I always put the breath weapon on. But technically, rules is written.
You fire out their arse.
You can go from anywhere at the base. You can fire at its arse. You know what I mean? Fire at a wing. It doesn't matter. So I think that they need to have a little look. I mean, everyone knows that though. So yeah, I think that's overall. We won't go too far. I say we'll try and save some discussions. Like we want to try and in later videos when we do this, just talk about interesting sort of like one or two interesting things we saw. Say Earth Ramparts was one of them, and go from there. One of the things that did come up, which literally just happened before the video we started recording the video, is that Wood Elves got announced.
Yes, they did.
So, where are my beastmen? What is this?
Yeah.
God damn it, GW. I wanted the goats. Well, I didn't want the goats, I wanted the bulls.
It was surprising to see them.
Where are my cows?
So, like, have they actually told us what's in the Arcane Journal? So, 48 pages.
Yeah, so it's Orion.
Oh, okay.
The Orion's Hunt, which a lot of people's eye is going to probably be focused on like a bit of the cav and stuff like that. And then there's something else, which is like the
Orion's Hunt and the Host of Talzin.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's. I really want like Spirit of the Forest. I want like Treekin.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I'm hoping that's what it is because a lot at the moment, like, it's not the Treekin are great. I was sort of the tournament big brick of Treekin's alright, but like the Tree Men and
who's
Dryads.
The second named character? Because it says Orion, King of the Woods, and then Araloth, the Lord of Talzin. So I presume he's
him. I don't know. He might be a new character.
I presume he's linked to the Second Army of Infamy then, because it's Lord of Talzin, Host of Talzin.
I'm guessing so. I don't know what he is. He might be a new. I'm not that familiar with Wood Elves, to be honest. So
no, nor me.
I was hoping for Beastmen. I mean, hopefully they'll be out soon, but I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've got one event coming up, which is the Double Throne of Skulls, which we're still trying to decide who's going with who at the moment.
Well, yeah, because we've got like 4 configurations.
Well, yeah, because I've got the Witch Hunters.
Elves. You've got technically Empire Witch Hunters and Dwarves.
Yeah.
I've obviously got Chaos and Bretonnia that are ready to rock and roll, and Ollie's got Orcs and Goblins, and he's sitting on Cathay at the minute, hoping they come back.
But and I might be doing Beastmen.
Oh, of course, bossy.
So like again, it depends. I mean, I want to do the Vampire Hunters. The problem I have with the Vampire Hunters is whoever I go with is going to have to carry hard because the list I've got, I tried to make it an in between, but I'm running militia. I mean, you can't expect a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, because we've only ever been to 1 Throne Skulls now. We've done 2 GTs at Warlord and a Throne Skulls.
Yeah, the Throne of Skulls was really fun, but
there was an imbalance of fair armies, to put it that way.
Yeah. Well, there was someone there with triple dragons, which fair enough.
That's
what you want to bring. Yeah, you got to fight round 1. Like he was apparently a really sound player and all this, but that is a hard list. You know what I mean? Like because it's also like okay, it may not be the best in the meta. Obviously, there are better lists, but
a dragon's still a dragon.
It's the triple dragon still. Like, you put that down against someone who's brought like what the hell I'm bringing, and it's just a case of like, well, good game, fella. Yeah, this is gonna be rough. I don't think 30 militia are going to do absolutely jack all against the dragon.
Yeah, it's.
Here, you can have my glass bottles. Have it.
Yeah, I think like the GW going on the 333 system is.
I think it should purely be for that event. I don't think wins should have no like input. I think they could have a little bit.
It used to be solely based on favorite game votes, and then if there was a tie, it went on wins and victory points.
Yeah.
Because then you could do that. Like, you two are obviously clearly the most chill dudes here because you've got say 4 votes each or 5 votes each, or whatever it is. But then it's like, right, well, since you're tied, who's the better player? You've gone 3-1, or 3-2. You've gone 4-1. He takes it.
Yeah. But we'll have to see. I mean, let's say the list I'm building at the moment, I've built half the infantry. I'm waiting to pick up the Warcry box to build the rest. Well, like the other good chunk, because there's about 7 models I'm building out of that. So then I'll need to build another 6 more. No, 7 more from the box to finish the unit, and then I've got to make the characters and all this sort of stuff. So I've got to pick up a few more models.
Or is that what, 3 months away? Just over? Late August, isn't it?
It's nearly 4.
4, yeah.
Effectively. It's like 3.5, because we've got May, June, July, August, and it's right at the end of August, and we're only just at the beginning of May. So I call it like 3.5 months. So
yeah, like I say, we'll see who wants to pair up with who. I'm pretty flexible on what I can take. I think I'm still going to work on Bretonnians in the meantime. So
yeah.
Also I'll try and do that an exile list maybe. It'll give me an excuse to paint me trebuchet, paint me cannons.
Cecile Gaston.
He'd probably absolutely shit, but.
Well, no, I don't know. You have to use psychological warfare, Dan, because you either charge this brick of infantry or you charge this brick of infantry.
Well, there's only one brick. I think there's big brick of Yeovil Guard.
Oh, you're going for the Yeoman Guard?
Yeah. Well,
we've definitely got to pair up. I just love the idea of us both bringing the shit infantry.
The idea I've got is it's got a trebuchet and a cannon just for multi-wound stuff. So if someone does bring a dragon, at least
I've
I
got
can
a cannon as well.
pelt it and shave it down.
Yeah, that's our plan. We just shoot with cannons.
There's a paladin in there with the horn, just in case people want to bring sneaky flyers.
Yeah.
So obviously, because it's exiles as well, they'll get a reroll of that. So at least you're 8 with a reroll. It shouldn't be failing it. Yeah. Then there's like a big brick with a static combat res of 7, which as we know is the magic number. And then Cecile with his monster slaying axe.
Is that the entire list?
Yeah.
It's 3 units?
Yeah.
You mad bastard!
It's one big brick of Yeovil Guard that makes up most of my core. Tell a lie, I think there's a 5-man unit of Knights of the Realm, because obviously you have to take one. So there's like literally a naked 5-man unit of Knights of the Realm. There's a big brick of Yeovil Guard, a trebuchet, a cannon, and then there's 4 characters. So I think there's Cecile, there's an outcast wizard to make them a bit better, there's a paladin so we can have the horn, and then there's also a damsel in there just to give the unit magic res and magical attacks in case that becomes an issue.
Can you give Yeoman Guard blunderbusses?
No, that's the Border Prince Brigands, the rare's choice.
I was just saying, I love it.
They're a real what's the word? Well, they're just tricky though, because they've got scouts, so you can start 12 inches away. They've got blunderbusses, which obviously range 12 as well. But they're impetuous with a charge range of 10. So you've got like a 2-inch leeway of you get too close or too far, you're not going to be able to shoot, or you might be just not firing your blunderbusses, you might just be charging.
Just cast the ramparts on them.
True, then I can't charge. It doesn't matter how close I am.
Yeah, we learnt that, and we were playing again at the event where the what was it? Who was I playing against? Was it Trolls? Yes. The war boss. There was a war boss on a wyvern, and we were like, well, if you cast Earth Ramparts, it basically Petrus does nothing because he can't charge. So he did consider using that, but yeah, I think we should definitely team up. We're running 2 massive mobs of just trash peasants, effectively.
What are you bringing? Humans? Are they good? No.
Well, then we could do the whole like Tenacious D thing of just like, be you angels? Nay, we are but men. But yeah, it should be a giggle. I mean, the thing is, like, I've changed my list up to put a bit more cav in there. I've tried to put a bit of shooting in there. I put a great cannon, which I'm putting. I actually have them here. I've taken the states from the peasant archers, and I'm just gonna stick it in the barrel.
That's cool.
Like a giant stake chucker. So yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I think my plan with future GTs, because there's loads coming up later on in the year. I think we would both like to go to them. I think one of us is going to be a bit more preoccupied than the other.
Yes, because obviously the next 2 events that we'd like to go to there's the Forgotten North in November. There's one in October.
There's the ITC October.
GT?
Yeah, and there's another one in Leicester in December.
The December one's likely, but Obviously,
Yeah.
I have a babby on the way, which is due mid-October. So I don't think the missus would
Yeah,
appreciate
one of
me.
them is like,
Yeah, one event's two
what are you
weeks
doing? I'm
after
gonna
the
go play
potential
Warhammer.
birth, and then the other one's 4 weeks
Well,
after potential birth.
I've said it. The kid's just gonna be chilling,
Yeah,
so
and
he
bring him
won't
along.
know.
Start him early, right? Get him rolling dice at 3 weeks
Exactly.
old.
And then if you start losing, just get your kid to just like crawl over your opponent's army. But yeah, I think for that, I'm still gonna run dwarves. I think dwarves are gonna be my main. I'm probably gonna end up starting Cathay because I am a magpie.
Oh, they are such a pretty army, though.
Ah, it's stunning. But yeah, I will probably end up doing that. So I think realistically, I'm going to try and build the Yeet list, give that a go. I'm going to try and build the Gyro Spam. I did come up with a different Expeditionary Force, which is a modification of my Throne of Skulls, which I think could be kind of spicy. It's effectively like Big Thunderous Star with a load of characters in it. Quite like 10 or like 14-ish gyros, like 12, 14 gyros, and then artillery. So yes, it's not as points denial as it should be, but I think that gives like the brick is hard to shift because it's again like entrenched, Grungni, the whole shebang. So they've got a 4-up save, a 5-up ward, static comrades of like 5. They're entrenched. So again, if that becomes the official rule of Jaggers start charging them, they have to deal with a stand and shoot, and then they've got to fight. And I'll probably just challenge them out.
Yeah.
And at that point, like 4-up, 5-up, I could just tank it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, it's
Or
why
even,
I hope they make that the official ruling. I mean, like, I might eat my words on that one because it might be more effective than we think it is. But like, even just like Pegasus Knights are an issue because they're flexibility and they're going in and each model's getting like 4 or 5 attacks each. So like Earth and Ramparts immediately cuts that in half because it's like, all right, we get one for the Pegasus, one for the Rider. Furious Charge gets turned off the lot. So I think it's not like it's crippling against dragons, but it also is good against a lot of other stuff.
It's anything multi-attack.
Yeah.
If it's got multi-attack, like Chariots, oh my god, it destroys Chariots. I mean, technically, I don't know if Chariots can actually charge them. It's this whole thing again, because it's this like,
because
but
they can't
are
physically
they actually?
pass over
Yeah,
obstacles,
yeah.
but
It's a whole weird thing. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the official FAQ is. But
yeah,
I think
I'm gonna.
will...
I think for the, like I say, my next big event, not including the Throne of Skulls, we'll probably try and go to Leicester GT, the ITC one. That obviously because Richie's took over those now, hasn't he?
Yes, I'm going to try and get to the Forgotten North in November, even if I must go on my own.
Yeah.
God, that's going to be a dreadnought, absolutely nightmare of a drive. But of course, I don't.
Yeah, because 4.5 hours last time we went.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be 3.5, but maybe I could persuade Ollie to go. I think Ollie will be down for it. I don't think Matt will go.
I mentioned it to him today, and I said obviously because the hotel's reasonable, things like that. I think for me though, it's like we pre-booked it and we was like, fucking hell, this is like so cost effective. Like the hotel was like 28 quid a night, or whatever it was. Ticket was 55. We was like fucking laughing. And then obviously the amount of money we spent on like food and alcohol in between is like, yeah, this is no longer a cheap event.
No. I think I probably worked out what I probably spent another like maybe I'm rounding it to 100 quid.
Yeah,
maybe.
I just didn't look at my bank account. I just wrote that off.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to go to one again. I'm gonna make the Hippogriff Duke work. People don't run them. I'm determined to make it the anti.
I think you should do the peasant army and make it work.
Oh, the amount of painting I need to do though.
Do it. Peasant only, but knights, and just lose every game like I do.
Yeah. Well, if I want to do that, I'll just get my dwarves out, right? They're in the loft.
Shut up! Do you dare?
Now
they're going to come into their own. You're going to become so good.
It's going to get lynched in the comments now by a lot of short beardy men.
Yes. I'm just gonna put it in the old world in the dwarf Facebook and just be like, I was trying to defend us, but this bastard Bretonian player just kept going.
So I'll just put that snippet before we start recording in the Bretonian one.
Do it. I'll happily take that. It's fine. It's true, and they know it is. That's it. They couldn't even argue it. They know it's true.
Yeah, I play Bretonian. I can't argue it. We're broken.
Broken army.
And it's all because of the winged bastards with 360 line of sight.
It is. That's the thing. It's not even the cap. I mean, I think honestly, if Bretonians, if they changed it to what I don't want to keep going back to it, they changed the skirmish so they just had to run in lance, or they just changed that basically skirmishers can't charge in 360.
I like that.
Or they have to just reform. If it's a case of you can free reform as much as you want, but you have to end facing the same way, because then also it doesn't come with the thing of having models in front and all this sort of stuff. If it's just a case of you could charge in your arc, but you can just reform as much as you want, so the unit can end they can start like this and then they can end that or whatever. That doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But they have to
because
still charge that way. It would fix them, and like they would still be really really good, but they just wouldn't be because the problem at the moment they're really powerful anyway. But the ceiling on learning them is quite low. It's not like bottom because don't get me wrong, you could still mess up. It's not a case if you can just. I still think that like like dragons is still easier to play because dragons is you send it and basically go deal with it or it's in combat next turn, and it will not leave combat for the rest of the game.
especially
Whereas
the chaos
Bretonnian-
one that you know has got like a 3
Yeah.
or 5 or 10 wounds.
Yeah.
It's,
making you fight last, all this. Whereas the Bretonnians, if you just yeet them forward, you could just go, oh, my opponent's got loads of shooting, and you could just shoot the unit to death. And we played games, you ran double peg knights, and I just shot them all. I mean, when we played, we had a little game before the event started on the Friday, and yeah, okay, it didn't go that well for me, but one stand and shoot from 5 Iron Drakes, I killed like nearly 2.5 pegs. That's half a unit just gone. So, and like when peg knights go from 3 to 1, and you got on stand and shoot, suddenly it's like, oh, okay. And their static combat res is nothing. So,
yeah, well,
and their unit strength is only 3.
I've
so.
started running banners on mine now. I think that came in handy today. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that extra combat res. I mean, like I took magic banners that didn't come up against Ollie's list because he didn't really take a lot of shooting. But like just the banner sometimes is it's good
Yeah.
if you do manage to whiff and your opponent just doesn't do as much back. Like I've had that many combats as a Pegasus Knights where I've just like lost to a musician or lost by a couple. So I think the banners is probably the better investment.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I would say if
Because quote me if I'm wrong, in 7th you were in like a dispersed open order tray. You got
in 8th.
In 8th, sorry, yeah, you got like unlimited reforms like you said, but you were still on a tray, weren't you? It was just space.
You're an inch apart, and basically you could reform as much as you liked. So like you never did the thing that like trying to think. Have I got is that blank on the back? Yes. So this is definitely not some sort of transfer sheet. But if you had the brick like that, and then the skirmishers, and there was a gap like this, the premise was as long as you had enough viable movement that you could just sort of go. The unit would squeeze in, go through, and then end like that.
Up, go back out, and open again.
But yeah, if they made it like that, I think it'd be fine. Because again, like because gyros effectively can shoot whichever way you wanted, it just means you have to pre-plan. It doesn't just give you redundancy. If you put your pegs in one direction and go right, that's where I'm going, and your opponent like turns and faces, it's not like it because I had it where my Bretonnian just yeeted at a unit of Iron Drake, so I just moved closer. It was like right, I'm going to shoot you this turn, and then you're going to charge me. But because of the 360, he just went.
Yeah.
And just charged that way, and then suddenly was go down my lines. And yeah, it could pre-plan, but it's that whole like you have no like they could just fly over and just disappear. We've had that in games. I've like tried to prepare for a charge, and suddenly you're behind me, and then I'm just playing this constant game of chicken of just turning like, well, now what do I face? And you could argue again, it's a tactical thing, but you could still do that with the peg knights. But it just means that when you charge over one, you can't. You may be able to march, but it depends because I do think that would be something interesting if you can't march and reform. That could be interesting.
Maybe, yeah, because it's sort of
'Cause
like
then-
the quick turn, isn't it? It's like, or no, not quick,
Yeah.
lumbering with dragons. It's like you can choose not to march if you want to, and then get that free turn at the end, free pivot, or you can march and try and get more maneuverability.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Because they could just have it that skirmishers get to make a free reform at the end of their movement.
Yeah.
And you just
Because I found, especially in the early days of playing my Bretonnians, like the 360 skirmish mechanics are just so forgiving. Because there's so many times where you just sort of throw them up and go, yeah, I'll do this, and this next turn, that'll be alright. And then your opponent will do something you didn't think of, and you're like, oh shit. And like you think like, well, if I had Ox, that'd be fucked because I didn't see that. But then because you haven't got Ox, it's like, oh no. Anyway, I'm still gonna charge.
yeah, and you can't. When I say this, you can't play around it. Yes, you can a little bit, but you can't like. It's not like you can like fly out of their arcs. You can't block their arcs or anything really. Well, you can block their arcs a little bit, but
Well, it means
it's
if
so
people
hard.
send,
And also,
if people send the Pegasus in centerboard, not that many people do, but then if you sort of disperse your army and they're playing Orcs, it's like, well, pick a side. Which side you're going to pursue? Whereas at the minute, it's just like, well, both are in my 36-inch bubble of death, so it's fine.
yeah, exactly. So, yes, but yeah, I think we've got to say we've both got some small projects. Well, I've got a bigger project, but we've both got projects on the board. Both been going to events. Both been really enjoying it. Don't think there's much else we're going to be playing apart from Old World anytime soon. Especially obviously with the new release of Cathay and Beastmen and all the good stuff. Which because like Wood Elves probably Ollie's still going to probably go get the book. If not, Matt will do them. Beastman I'm going to do. I think two of us are going to be doing Cathay because those models are stunning. And then obviously whatever, like hopefully GW release maybe like a rule pack or something for missions. That'd be nice.
Hopefully,
And
just
yeah.
like a little
A proper like match play book would be great.
Well, I'm hoping when we get to the, because I've not followed much of the story through the Arcane Journals, but I know obviously their pinnacle part is the pinnacle endpoint is the Siege of Prague, isn't it? Where you've got obviously like Koalek and Azabar Cool and things like that. So I'm hoping they bring out like a campaign supplement. So maybe in that there's the final narrative missions between Chaos and Empire and everybody else, or Chaos, Kislev and Empire, isn't it, and everybody else. But then I'm hoping also mixed into that there is new set of core missions, maybe some new common magic items, just things to spice the game up. But I think like there needs to be like there's too many just kill point missions in the current core.
Yeah.
Rules. So I think an even split would promote more of a dynamic list building.
Fixed game, definitely.
I mean, people like say you can still just go, oh, our missions, yeah, I'm just gonna table you. Like, it doesn't matter. But obviously, then
that's every
that
any
pushes
game.
the GW then on how well they designed the scoring missions. Because I say if you score per turn, per turn, and you can rack up 300-400 points as the game goes on. It might not completely swing the tide of play, but it might push a loss,
Well, force your
into a
opponent to
draw
think.
or something. Or
Because you could have a really like useful thing at dealing damage, but then if you've got units sitting on objectives, then suddenly they go, which do I go for? At the moment, it's kill the thing that's dealing the damage, deal with that problem, fly over, kill the things on objectives. As long as they're dead by the end of the game, I don't care. But if they're scoring like 50 or 100 VP a turn, and you're like, okay, well that's going to be like 500 VP by this turn, or that's going to be 500 VP. Which do I deal with first?
yeah, especially if you're playing armies with like little MCU squads, things like that. So MSU squads, because it's like, yeah, you could just go off and kill that 150 point unit, but then that unit over there is scoring 100 points over the 2 turns you take to kill that.
Yeah.
So you've only actually gained 50 points, and you do that as the game goes on. It could.
It'll add up quick. Yes, but yeah. Well, that's our first video. That's our first, whatever you want to call this.
We'll try and make these bi-weekly, 2-weekly, something like that.
Yeah, if we make them every sort of 2 weeks. So say projects, it will just be like, I think what we'll try and do is we'll try and put some pictures of any like painted projects we've been doing. I'll try and get pictures of the Witch Hunter army as I'm going. I'll try and get pictures of the Yeet. You get pictures of whatever you're doing.
The minute I'm
we'll just try and have a
experimenting
discussion
with paper banners. I feel like I'm going old school. Mainly because the Pegasus Knights don't come with banners. I don't have any more Knights of the Realm command sets, and I can't be asked to spend more money. So
That's fair.
I'm just sticking paper banners on Lancers.
Nice.
It's
still got a lot of mint.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I did. Sorry to go off on another tangent, but I did have a massive hinkling to either start High Elves or Orcs and Goblins the other day, though, because I've got the old 7th edition rulebook downstairs still. And I was
okay. What do you mean, 7th or 8th?
8th edition, sorry, not 7th.
Kiko 7th.
Yeah, the last proper edition was 8th, wasn't it?
Yeah, 8th. Yeah.
'Cause WAP was 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, there was 9th, and then there was WAP.
Yeah, but so 8th. I've got the 8th edition rulebook downstairs, but then obviously at the back when you've got like the gallery bit, there's like all the old models painted and stuff. But then there's like a page of like the 2D banners that remember when you used to like scan them, cut them out and stuff. And obviously there's loads of the old school like High Elf and Orcs and Goblin ones in there, and they just look so iconic. And I'm like, do I start an army just so I can print these banners out? And
I
stick
know.
them?
Well, I'm a bit like that because Ollie was painting up some Ball Boys for his Throne of Skulls list he wants to run. And I was like, oh, God, I love Ball Boys. I was like, I love the idea of an all-cav Orc army with chariots and Ball Boys. So I was like, maybe I'll do that. And then even High Elves, I was looking at I love the aesthetic of the Woodsman and the White Lions and doing that. And then Bretonians, again, just like knights and mass cavalry. And then you've got like Empire. Obviously, I'm doing the Witch Hunter theme list now, which I'm quite happy with. But like my plan with this was just do 1,000 points. But I'm like, well, what if I push it to the 2K? And then I was like, I'll make a steam tank that's all like witch hunted up with like burning braziers and stuff, and give it a war altar that's all like grim dark and more infantry because I'm mad, and then more cav, and just sort of. I think the only army, realistically, that I wouldn't touch with a barge. I mean, I've also got. I mean, hold on. Right, I know this is off video. It's like behind the scenes, guys. I've also got this bad boy.
Oh yeah, you picked it up for your thingy conversion, didn't you?
And Dark Elf Dragon Wings, which I ripped off a Dark Elf Dragon. They came off actually surprisingly quite well. to make a dragon. So for Chaos, so I guess I'm starting a Chaos army. It's that whole thing when you're like, no, you scum, you all play these broken armies.
Well,
Anyway, give me that dragon.
yeah. Well, it's the same for me, isn't it? Because I found my old Tomb King's Metal Scorpion, and it's got obviously everything but like 2 of the legs and the tail. So I'm like, oh well, I'll just stick this on the base, have it like coming out the ground because it would be really fun to paint. But then it's that rabbit hole of like, oh cool, I've painted the scorpion, this one model. I best build a whole army so I can use it.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think the only army I probably wouldn't say that I wouldn't touch is Wood Elves, but I think an all like Spirit of the Forest, trees and stuff could be tempted.
It's Arcane Journal dependent, isn't it? Because I do think like
Yeah,
they're the one army that I do feel is a bit boring to play.
I think if I go more infantry and stuff, it's more interesting. But yeah, so I think that's my thing with Old World. There's not a single army I wouldn't play or do.
Yeah.
I think they're like, no, there's issue. Not it's not a single army I wouldn't do. Even in Legacy, there's not a single one I wouldn't play. So, but yeah. Anyway, we won't fall on more tangents. It's already been about an hour. So this is sort of we're trying to hit 45 minutes to an hour, guys. If we hit that, great. If we go over, we go over. It's just more Old World, and none of us complain about that. So.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's the game we all love and are happy is back. So, right, I hope you all enjoyed this, guys. And like I say, we'll probably make these 2 weekly if we can keep up to start with.
Yeah.
Depends on, obviously, I know you're currently, well, I've got a kid on the way. You're currently in the process of doing your house up, so.
Mhm.
And then hobby on the side as well as just trying to live. Like
Yeah.
time is scarce, so we'll try and make them 2 weekly, and then we'll see where we get from that. So, all right,
Perfect.
hope you enjoyed, guys, and take it easy.